Meanwhile, the sailor suit with skirt, that is the typical style of Japanese schoolgirl uniform, first appeared in the early 20th century. These sailor suits were worn at a girls' school in Fukuoka in 1921. They were adopted by the American school principal, Elizabeth Lee. She was already a fan of the sailor suit when she arrived in Japan. It was the latest fashion in the US in those days. This is an American fashion catalogue from a century ago. The sailor suit was also a popular design for children's clothes. The women's fashion magazine Vogue also featured women wearing sailor outfits at around this time. The sailor suit's boyish, get-things-done appeal was popular back then. Lee had her students wear sailor suits in the hope that Japanese girls would play a more active role in society. These outfits were easier to move around in and were less expensive than the Japanese-style clothes that students wore previously. Sailor suits proved popular with students and parents. But a newspaper criticized the uniform as a weird naval look. Sailor suits stood out at a time when traditional Japanese outfits were the norm. 2 years later, in 1923, the Great Kanto earthquake struck. 100,000 people died. It was said that many women failed to escape because traditional Japanese garments restricted their movement. This led to the rapid adoption of Western clothes by women. Spurred by the trend, more schools adopted sailor suit school uniforms. By the 1930s, sailor suits had spread to schools throughout Japan. For girls in their teens, sailor suits were now a fashion touchstone. These were the bright years before the onset of the Second World War. In the late 1980s, Japan enjoyed a period of unprecedented economic prosperity. This was the age when the second-generation baby boomers born in the 1970s were entering high school. A surge in student numbers led to many new schools being established, and they had to compete for students. That led to a new trend for snazzier uniform styles. Uniform makers and department stores held fashion shows for school uniforms. School staff flocked to these events. World-famous designers like Hanae Mori and Junko Koshino were commissioned to design uniforms. In the race to sign up students, one school after another adopted fashionable uniforms.
I really can't see these as uniforms myself, but maybe I'm just being old-fashioned.
These uniforms are so stylish. I think students would love it at our school if they could wear uniforms like this.
Japanese school uniforms were introduced to tighten control, later survived an age of rebellion, and went on to become objects of fashion.
This toy shop sells dress-up dolls that are popular with little girls, and one of the most popular ones is Rika-chan. In fact, she's so popular, this is her second appearance on our program. Some 50 million Rika-chan dolls have been sold to date. We're told that she's 11 years old, and she must be a very precocious 11-year-old because she already has very wide-ranging job experience. She's been a kindergarten teacher, she's been a waitress in a cafe, she's been a flight attendant, and also worked in various kinds of restaurants as well. Of course, each one has its own uniform, which is why we know what she's doing. And as you can see, the Japanese love of uniforms extends to these dress-up dolls too. And of course, she has school uniform too. Not just one, but quite a lot, actually. This one comes from a real-life school, the Aizu Wakamatsu Zaverio Gakuen. It's a limited edition Rika, just 1,500 of these were made. It's to commemorate the school's 50th anniversary, and it was created at the request of some of the graduates. I'm told there are some 20 other different types of limited edition likas, including this one here. And each one corresponds exactly to each school's dress code. I think it goes to show the Japanese fascination with uniforms, and this fascination is now leading to a fad among teenage girls.